Over the past few years, one phrase has started appearing more and more across British media, political debates, and social conversations. Broken Britain. For some people, it perfectly describes the state of the country today. A nation struggling with rising costs, strained public services, and a growing sense that the systems people once relied on are no longer working as they should. For others, it's an exaggeration, a dramatic label used in political arguments rather than a reflection of reality. But whether the phrase is fair or not, something important is happening across the United Kingdom. Many of the foundations of everyday life are under pressure at the same time. Living costs are rising, housing is becoming harder to afford, public services are struggling to meet demand, and infrastructure that supports daily life is facing increasing strain. None of these problems appeared overnight, and none of them exist in isolation. But when several systems begin to feel unstable at once, people naturally begin asking questions about the future. Is Britain simply going through a difficult period? Or are these warning signs of deeper problems developing beneath the surface? One of the most visible pressures facing people across Britain today is the rising cost of living. For millions of households, the past few years have brought some of the biggest increases in everyday expenses seen in decades. Food prices have risen sharply, energy bills have surged, and mortgage payments have increased for many homeowners following a period of rising interest rates. According to official statistics from the Office for National Statistics, inflation in food prices reached levels not seen for many years during recent economic shocks. Everyday items that people once considered routine purchases have suddenly become noticeably more expensive. For families already balancing tight budgets, even small increases across multiple expenses can create significant financial strain. Energy costs have also been a major concern. Global disruptions to energy markets, combined with geopolitical tensions and supply uncertainties, pushed electricity and gas prices sharply higher in recent years. While government support programs helped soften some of the impact, many households still faced energy bills far higher than they had experienced before. When wages fail to keep pace with these rising costs, people are forced to make adjustments. Some cut back on spending, others postpone major purchases, and some struggle to keep up with basic expenses. This doesn't necessarily mean the country is collapsing, but it does contribute to a growing sense that life is becoming harder for many people. Another issue that frequently appears in discussions about broken Britain is housing. Over the past several decades, house prices across much of the United Kingdom have steadily increased. At the same time, wage growth has not always kept up with those increases. The result is that buying a home has become significantly more difficult, especially for younger generations. In many parts of the country, the cost of property is now several times higher than the average annual salary. This gap between income and housing prices means that many first-time buyers face enormous challenges when trying to enter the housing market. Even saving for a deposit can take years. Renting, which was once seen as a temporary step before home ownership, has become a long-term reality for many people. But renting has its own challenges. Rental prices have increased sharply in many cities and towns as demand continues to outpace supply. In some areas, competition for rental properties has become intense, with multiple applicants competing for the same homes. Housing shortages are often linked to a complex mix of factors. Population growth, limited housing supply, planning restrictions, and rising construction costs all play a role. Whatever the causes, the effect is clear. Housing affordability remains one of the most significant economic and social issues facing Britain today. Public services are another area where many people believe the country is under pressure. The National Health Service remains one of the most valued institutions in the United Kingdom, providing healthcare to millions of people every year. But the NHS has also faced growing demand over the past decade. An aging population means more people require medical treatment, ongoing care, and specialist services. At the same time, Staff shortages in certain areas of the healthcare system have created additional challenges. Waiting lists for some treatments have grown significantly, and accessing appointments can sometimes take longer than patients would like. Healthcare professionals across the system often describe working under enormous pressure, dealing with increasing demand while trying to maintain the quality of care that patients expect. It's important to recognize that healthcare systems around the world are facing similar pressures. Many developed countries are grappling with aging populations and rising healthcare costs. But when waiting times increase and services feel stretched, it inevitably raises concerns about the long-term sustainability of the system. Infrastructure is another factor that rarely attracts attention until something goes wrong. Much of the infrastructure that supports everyday life in Britain was built decades ago. Railways, energy networks, water systems, and roads form the invisible foundation that keeps the country functioning. Maintaining and upgrading these systems requires constant investment and long-term planning. When infrastructure ages faster than it can be replaced or repaired, problems can begin to appear. Transport disruptions, maintenance delays, and capacity issues are sometimes signs of systems that need modernization. Water infrastructure has also faced criticism in recent years, particularly around leaks and environmental concerns. Energy infrastructure has become a topic of debate as the country transitions toward new energy sources while also maintaining reliable power supplies. These challenges are not unique to Britain. Many developed nations are dealing with infrastructure that was built for the needs of the 20th century but must now support the demands of the 21st. It is also important to place Britain's challenges within a wider global context. Many of the pressures affecting the United Kingdom are also being experienced by other advanced economies. Across Europe and North America, governments are dealing with rising housing costs, aging populations, infrastructure investment needs, and economic uncertainty. Global supply chains, which became fragile during recent crises, have exposed how interconnected modern economies really are. A disruption in one part of the world can quickly affect industries and consumers thousands of miles away. Energy markets have shown how geopolitical tensions can influence everyday life through fuel and electricity prices. Economic uncertainty has also created a sense of unpredictability for many households. In this environment, debates about national decline or economic fragility are becoming more common across many countries, not just Britain. The phrase "broken Britain" captures a feeling that something isn't working the way people expect it to. It reflects frustration about rising costs, difficulty accessing services, and concerns about the future. But whether the country is truly broken is a far more complicated question. Nations go through periods of pressure and change. Economic cycles, technological shifts, demographic trends, and global events all shape the trajectory of a country over time. What matters most is how governments, institutions, and citizens respond to these challenges. Some countries struggle to adapt, while others use periods of difficulty as opportunities to reform and rebuild stronger systems. Britain today is clearly facing a series of significant pressures. Housing affordability remains a major challenge. Public services are dealing with growing demand. Infrastructure requires major investment, and many households are feeling the impact of rising living costs. But pressure does not automatically mean collapse. History shows that societies are often far more resilient than they appear during difficult moments. The next decade will likely determine how successfully the United Kingdom adapts to the pressures of a rapidly changing world. The real question may not be whether Britain is broken. The real question is whether the country can adapt quickly enough to the challenges ahead.